Any other questions? Yes.
I've been told that vitamin K2 helps with distribution of calcium by taking it out of the soft tissues in the blood and depositing it into
And I'd have to agree, vitamin K is a really overlooked vitamin. It's really hard to obtain. Oh, unless you eat leafy green vegetables and or green vegetables, which in my life would seem absurd that anyone wouldn't. But there really is a large percentage of the population, if it isn't sold at McDonald's, they don't eat it. Oh, they got leafy green vegetables, they got lettuce in there, don't they? But all four food groups are in there. But the point is that a lot of people never eat anything green. I mean, I've heard that some people only eat bacon and whiskey, but that's beside the point. So typically we don't need to take vitamin K if you eat enough greens. But we'll even see today that some greens can be problematic, because greens are directly related to kidney stones if they're the wrong greens. Yes?
I may have asked this before, but I'll ask it again. When it comes to cleansing with women who are breastfeeding, typically you want to avoid programs that have various compounds that can transfer through the breast milk, correct? Mm-hmm. What about homeopathic cleanses, like Heal's got one?
Yeah.
So,
you have, I don't remember you asking this question,
okay,
but it does come down to virtually the same thing. So even the homeopathics, in the long run, what they really do is, I'm going to make a silly analogy, it's not really true, but it's an analogy. It shakes the liver clean, or shakes the blood clean. So whenever we're doing a cleanse, we're really working around cytochrome P450, and we're working around how the liver phase 1, phase 2 interacts, and how to clean the blood. It doesn't matter which mechanism stimulates that process. It's still a process that goes on. And since what you do is, the liver is the first, should I say, bottleneck. The second bottleneck is the blood itself to be able to get over the kidney. And since milk is made out of blood, the answer is, it doesn't matter if it's homeopathic or whatever. So what would a woman want to do if she feels she needs to do a cleanse and she's breastfeeding? And the answer comes back to what we just said. Eat a lot of leafy green vegetables and eat a lot of good healthy food. Eat a rainbow diet. And that's the cleanse that you can do during breastfeeding stages. So what happens when some of the things are slowly moved through the system, it also comes along with a lot of carotenoids, a lot of bioflavonoids, a lot of other things, a lot of nutrients. So the milk becomes so nutrient rich, it's beneficial.
So the idea with that would be that you would be cleansing at such a low ratio relative to the amount of nutrients.
Yes. Low toxicity, higher nutrient density.
Neutralize it?
Yeah,
okay.
To a large degree, and literally that's what we've done throughout history. Mm-hmm. At the same time, taking a giant step in the opposite direction, there has been times where I've had kids come in that are breastfeeding that are so toxic for whatever reason, and there's a whole list of those reasons. Sometimes they're on formulas, or sometimes they're on things for a long period of time, or they had issues. Then I'm actually giving the mother a cleanse, because the cleanse will transfer into the mother, or to the child, and they're going to cleanse too. They're going to poop and pee a little bit more. Just to make sure we're talking the right things. You wouldn't want to be doing these cleanses during teething, for the obvious reasons that the child's system is going through a trauma already, and therefore there's almost a cleansing action that naturally comes along, especially when these teeth back in here first start coming in.
And would that include just eating more leafy greens and that kind of thing?
That would be good, to keep on eating more leafy greens.
Okay.
That would be great. So I'm talking about, if you wanted to do a cleanse, we suggest it shouldn't be for children. There's a few individual cases you would do it for children, but you wouldn't even do it in those cases if they're going through the teething process.
Okay, thank you.
Yes?
What about if the child has a candida issue, or like is already infected with thrush or something like that? Would you still be attempting to avoid a cleanse, or would you just do a restricted diet if they're teething?
I'd do a restrictive diet, and I'd give all the candida stuff to the mother. So for example, the homeopathic candida can actually be given to the child, but it can also be given to the mother. And for whatever reason, we can get rid of the candida way faster in a child than a mother. or than an adult. So let's say, for example, an adult would take 6 months to do a candida thing in their situation. The same level in a 10-year-old will take about 3 months. The same in about a 3 or so year old takes about 1.5 months to get rid of it. So even though the body doesn't have resilience, it has a lot of chi, prenatal chi, and it seems to be able to bounce back quite fast. And but you want to make sure you're doing the right thing. So we usually start a candida program with a detox before we go into the candida. If the mother's breastfeeding, we wouldn't do the detox first. We just go straight into the candida program. There's nothing wrong in the candida program for breastfeeding at all. And so we have an awful lot of people doing that. So yes, if a person, let's talk specifics here. I've had an awful lot of mothers go on a candida program post-Christmas for the obvious reasons. They've ate way too much over the Christmas season, and therefore we put them on a candida cleanse after the thing. We don't do the detox because they're breastfeeding, but we can also help the thrush, etc. in the child. Typically, even though a child will get thrush and stuff like that relatively easily, you're typically talking your second or third child that it would be worse at the candida in the body. Usually the first child doesn't get as bad a candida as subsequent children. And part of the reason is just the whole birthing process and the amount of candida would typically be in the female system. Now, that's not a law, that's kind of a typical. I'll see it in later children more than earlier children.